Hello and welcome to Arcanum of Magic and Steamwork Obscura, where finally we have lovely music in Rosebarrow, where we are. And we have been led here because apparently this is where Victor Misk's father was buried. And we know from clues that the Tsang-Ang, Horror Among the Dark Elves, is somewhere where only he and his father know. And it sounds like that might be in the grave. Especially now. Now, that means we're gonna have to be digging up some graves. There's guards here. A fun day. So I can ask some questions. What is it? Can you fuck off? No. Okay, bye then. So yes, because the guards are probably not gonna appreciate us digging up graves. But to be fair, let's see. Yeah, this is Philip Mint's grave, and that is very far away from prying eyes. So I think we're actually fairly safe doing this. Let's do it. Let's do a quick dig up. And lo and behold, there's the book we need. Tsang-Ang, Horror Among the Dark Elves. Let's give that a quick read. But you know what? Let's replace it with this garbage book. Yeah, it's a garbage book anyway. No one's the wiser. Alright, let's read up here. I dedicate this to my dearest Raven. Ooh! Okay, so there was like a romance going on between Raven and Dr. Renford A. Terwilliger. I dedicate this to my dearest Raven, who would gladly face again these horrors and 1,000 others for only another moment with you. Oh, that's cute. You're dead now, though, so... So here's where Tsang-Ang is, right in the northern part of the Glimmering Forest. Dearest reader, it's only with the greatest fear and trepidation that I share this harrowing tale with you today. Even here, safe within the confines of my own home, I am still overcome with dreads that I thought of what I am about to tell you, and what it might mean to me and those close to me, and yet I feel compelled to do so. And the great muse that guides my pen to this paper, and the words flow forth from the darkest region of my heart and mind, where they have stayed well hidden until this evening. I beg to you, give an ear to my confession, and if it pleases you, take a tale from me. And return only your belief and trust. What you are about to hear is only nothing but the truth. Wow, he is really like dressing it all mainly. Anyway, okay. My name is Renford A. Terwilliger, born of the outlying regions of Ashbury, not far from the flare of Belorgrim, where they found the bones of the great dragon. My childhood was a bright one, full of happiness, and the light of my parents gave to me all that children might need. I was schooled both practically and excellently. And when my 18th year came around, I was accepted into Durant University and ultimately found my way into the Durantian Zoological Society. Archaeology was my first love, but my first assignment with the society was with the Cultural Anthropology department. It was somewhat of a farce, actually, but the society had been given an enormous grant by one of the Tarant's leading philanthropists for a very specific purpose. The purpose was to confirm the existence of the Dark Elves. Every man, woman and child in Arcanum had been raised on ghost stories and bedtime tales of these strange people known only as the Dark Elves. To the anthropologists, they are proverbial oases in the desert. Proof of their existence has always literally disappeared into the air. No man had ever set eyes upon them, and not one shred of physical evidence had ever been found to establish that they were real. Myths and legends were plentiful, but for the iterant scientist, these mean less than nothing. What was needed was undeniable evidence, and I set out on this adventure with determination and confidence in my ability to bring forth just that. Had I known what lay ahead, I would have forsworn both anthropology and philanthropy, and returned to work as a day labourer in the Ashbury shipyard. Better the back-breaking work than the nightmares I face every night. Before leaving Tarant, I employed the services of a certain Jarel Ben Al, an elven tracker who was recommended by to me by the noble Mr. Quentin Payne, famed explorer and gentleman in every sense of the word. We hear that name a lot. Seems to be a bigwig in the societies of Arcanum, I guess. Jarel Ben Al had been born in the Glimmering Forest, and it said that there wasn't a more knowledgeable man about the deep elven groves this side of the Stonewall Mountains. Well, the elven forests are on the other side of the Stonewall Mountains if you're writing this in Tarant, so that makes no sense. Anyway, his fees were a little less than reasonable, but I had been given enormous liberty in spending the allotted funds, and it was my honest opinion that Mr. Ben Al was crucial to the success of this mission. I couldn't have been more correct. Within weeks we were well within the deepest yet uncharted regions of the Western Glimmering Forest. Or the Western Glimmering, actually. And never once did the inflappable Mr. Ben Al look to his compass or consult a map. Occasionally he would stand for a moment within the clearing or beneath a great tree, head cocked, eyes closed, but aside from these infrequent moments of meditation, it was all we could do to keep up with him. Upon the 42nd day of our journey, we came to the great meadow, seemingly alive with a multitude of birds and butterflies that flew above it. Crossing this fragrant and lively field was one of the most vivid moments I'd ever experienced on the journey so far. I was so enthralled by the scene around me that I almost missed the most spectacular vision given to the eyes of mortal men. Kintara, the great elven tree city, lay within the towering trees at the end of the clearing, hanging like a cut jewel into the crown of a king. The mother tree, almost 400 feet tall, housed the intricate carved Hall of Truth, which shone white and smooth in the noonday sun. Impossibly thin walkways wove in and out of the bough of the great tree, not taking away from its natural beauty, but adding to it, as if the city were merely a convenient and beautiful tangle of leaves and branches tattooed with the flowing runes and symbols in the elfin tongue. And amongst these graceful, live forms of the elves, singing their beautiful song and looking down upon the ragtag group of men with curiosity and amusement. Of Kintara I can say only this. The month I spent there was the best of my entire life. I learned much less about the Dark Elves than I would have liked, almost nothing at all, really. But the moments I spent there were strange and wonderful and breathtaking. I will not do them a disservice by attempting to put them into words. Suffice to say that I learned that there as a young man what often takes others a lifetime, and to teachers I give my heartfelt thanks and warmest feelings. To my teachers, okay. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think of you. Yeah, you shagged a lot with Raven, didn't you? That's what you're trying to tell us. Boom. We left the trees of Kintara with little more than faint whispers about the Dark Elves and where they might be found. The elves of Kintara were very reluctant to speak of them, and they begged us to forget such foolishness and to go home to Tarant. I, of course, would hear no such talk, as we travelled on north this time, as Mr. Banal believed he had uncovered a clue as to their whereabouts during his investigations while in Kintara. And he had discovered a name, Tan-Ang, the home of the Dark Elves. We travelled for 17 more days. exhausting our supplies and sending most of the party back to Tarant. The forest had become thicker and more brambly, and it seemed as many of the trees were adorned with thorns, some more than a foot long, another weak, and it was only Mr. Banal and myself. We had agreed to return before the first of the month if we failed to find any further evidence of the Dark Elf's existence. That gave us 6 days to find Sen Ang, and we pressed on despite the anxiety and fatigue. On the day before we had planned our return, the weather took a vicious turn. From out of the north came a dark thunderhead, and lightning flew down from the sky like barbed lances of white fire. It began to rain, and we found an uneasy shelter beneath the massive roots of one of the great trees, which seemed poised over us like a giant, grotesquely gnarled hand. I was shivering, and not altogether from the cold and the rain. Weird shadows played against the trunk of the trees as the storm strengthened and the lightning became more frequent. Thunder tore through the skies above our heads. I looked at Mr. Banal, and for the first time since we left Trent, I saw fear reflected in his eyes. I can't say when I first became aware of them, but one moment while looking through the rain, I began to notice shadows that stayed even after the lightning had subsided. Those shadows became phantoms, the phantoms of something worse. They were stock still, tall, wiry, ghostly faces, the color of ivory, with eyes of the blackest night. Their hair hung limp strands against their foreheads and cheeks, and they stood unblinking, oblivious to the storm and its ragings. Banal screamed something to my right, and then was pulled bodily from the outer shelter to the roots above. He screamed once more, and then it was silent. I never heard from nor saw him again. I ran headlong past the elves in front of me, swinging blindly to clear the path. I was mad with fear, and my feet carried me deeper into the forest. I thought I heard the dark and twisted laughter above and behind me, and the shadowy figures darted among the trees to my left and right. Thorns tore at my arms and legs, and I stumbled along the stones to the underbrush, screaming incoherently. More than once, great elven arrows sunk into the trees around me, grazing my skin as they flew by. They were playing with me, enjoying the hunt, waiting for just the right moment. My head was light from exhaustion and blood loss, and I fell to my knees, gasping for air. When I looked up, I saw it. There in the trees above me was Sen Ang, home of the Dark Elves. Unlike Kintara, Sen Ang was an abomination slouched in the branches, like a great beast waiting for its prey. I think you're dramatizing a whole lot. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same thing, but whatever. There were sputtering fires along the battlements, and the great spikes protruding from every surface like dragon spines, and I saw robed figures, gaunt and terrible, lined along its walkways, looking down upon me, beckoning, it seemed, for me to join them. I screamed again, and the figures seemed to raise their voices in unison, a terrible call without sound or meaning, but I heard them nonetheless. They were cursing me, they were welcoming me. In moments I was surrounded again by my pursuers. Through the downpour I saw an unsheathed dagger, with the ghostish smiles floating towards me as the thunder roared above. I closed my eyes, praying for whatever god would hear me. There was nothing else I could do now. And then, from nowhere, arrows were flying from behind me and above me. In moments I was encircled completely by half-buried shaft of the thickest hunting arrows, and the dark elves around me whirled to and fro in confusion. One pulled his arrow from his back and notched the arrow in one flowing movement, but was shot through the heart before he could raise it past the shoulder. He fell silent, unbelieving. The others looked at me for a moment with the purest hatred harbored in their eyes, and then disappeared to the night, hands conspicuously at their side. Amazed and spent, I fainted. I awoke days later, many miles from the northern reaches of the glimmering forest. I was alone, but my wounds were treated and my supplies had been replenished. I was back in Torrance not 2 weeks later. Never met my rescuer, but I can guess who they were and where they were from. You can guess? I guess you can guess, okay. And I thank them if they are reading this. Without their aid, I would surely have died in the shadow of Tsan'ang. I am a little bit, a bit of a loss to exactly who it is. If it's the elves, then, well, they've been lying very much to us because they could have just told us where the Dark Elf City is and we wouldn't have to go chase around all around Arcanum for this damn book. Oh well. And so, dear friend, again I beg of you to believe these words and to a man who told them as much to me. I do so only to share the burdens with others, to gain comfort amongst these of my kind. At the very least, let these words stand as a warning to you. Often evil is an intangible thing, and sometimes it is people and a place. Such are the Dark Elves, and such is the hell that is called their home. I have never returned to the Glimmering Forest, and I pray that I never do. Some things are better left alone. Well, I think he over-dramatized the scary event a little bit. But we have a location, and yes. What it could be is that it was actually the lizard folk, but that also seems unlikely. Yeah, I personally don't have a guess about who this is. I think it might be the elves, but then yes, they have been very much lying to us about not knowing about Tsan'ang is, because they apparently were there. And hello. Ah, this must be the Ring of Brodikar we heard so much about. Fancy stone ring. Old and such. Very interesting. But nothing we can do with that now, though. What we probably should do now is return to Caledon, because I don't think there's much more to do in Roseberry Barrow at the moment. We might return here later for more discoveries and the like. For now, let us go to, let's see, we go back to Caledon to find out about that person that gave the Black Mountain Dwarf, Stannard, the fake passport which he got onto the Eye of Zephyr. So he might have more clues about his identity and where he came from. Oh, Spideys. Yeah, that Spidey's gonna die. There we go. Oh, hello there, Malokian hand fellows. I'm not even gonna bother. Yeah, that's scary, ain't it? That's scary, ain't it? Okay, problem solved. I'm not even gonna pick up the stuff first. That is just an endless flow of garbage stuff. You know what? Maybe you should wait about for this werewolf business to... actually, let's find the passport person first. We still have most of the day, and then we can see if we can solve the werewolf matter. So, question is where this Mr. Razia might be. Sounds like that's kind of a criminal fellow, so should probably check in with that black market at the Sobbing Onion, as that seems to be the center of sort of organized crime, as it were. So we go up and about to the Sobbing Onion and have a bit of a chat. So the back room. Yes, friend? have you have something? Hello, can I ask your name? I am Mr. Razia. What can I do for you? Offer something that you might find interesting. What have you got? Nothing. Does he not have... Ah yeah, here we go. I got some questions about this passport you made. I do not know what you're talking about. I do not make passports. That's against the law. Mr. Preston Radcliffe will back to differ. Looked shocked and slightly afraid. Where did you get that? I found it on the body in the wreckage of the Ogre Zephyr. He's looking at you warily. And who was this man anyhow? You are not the only one person who has been asking questions. There have been others looking for him? A couple of thugs came right after the Zephyr had left Caledon. They wanted to know information about him. When I refused to talk, they decided that I needed a little encouragement. I do not know who they were. What did you actually tell them then? I told them that I made the passport and that he had chosen Preston Radcliffe as his name, a gnome from Tarant. I also informed them that they were too late and that they had already departed on the Zephyr, and that was nothing that they could do about it, or so I thought. What did they do then? They were insistent that I give them information to how to get to the Zephyr. I laughed prettily and told them they were out of their minds. Crazy old Maxim had built the Zephyr in his factory outside of town, and it was a one-of-a-kind beast. So you told them where the factory was? I thought nothing of it. Everyone knew where Maxim's factory was. It was that very night that it was burned down to the ground, and that's all I know. Thank you. You've been very helpful. Two bad guys, that is. To kill. So yes, that completes kind of the story about the assassins after him. So they're already after Stannard. Stannard got a fake password, or actually, Stannard. Stannard got a fake password from this fellow, but his pursuers were after him, and he then, since he was already gone, the Zephyr, they're kind of like, oh, can we follow him? And like, yeah, you're crazy, you can follow him. And yeah, got to the factory, stole the flying machines, and that's how they went after us, and this whole thingamajig began. So that, yes, solves this mystery, I guess. We should then, I guess, put the passport and the matchbook into storage, since we kind of already know it now. So let us guard the rabbits for the night. So we'll wait until evening. Oh! Okay. Who's winning here? That's an interesting part. The werewolf won. Hurrah. So, another rabbit killed, the white one, and she turns into Cynthia with. How not unexpected. I wonder if we can report this to her father. Hello. So how can I be of service again? You are the beast that is destroying the rabbit, Cynthia. It was you! It was coming from within the house all along! Me? What are you talking about? I would never harm our rabbits. I'm afraid you transformed into a werewolf at night right now. I just saw it, Cynthia. No, it cannot be. The dreams. That would explain the dreams. Oh no, no. What are we to do? I'm gonna have to kill you. Oh, actually, I got no idea. My father, he will know what to do. Go speak with him. I will remain here. If it's a will that I'm to die, then I will be here. I'll go speak with him then. Hopefully you won't have to die. Hello, greetings. I discovered what's been happening to the rabbits. Well, you did? What is it then? I'm afraid it's your daughter. She's like all psycho and shit. My daughter? What are you talking about, mister? I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but your daughter has become a werewolf. And not a wolf or a wenwolf, but a werewolf. Ah, funny joke I just thought up. You know how you know what a time traveling werewolf is? A Wendigo. Not a Wendigo. Oh man, you can make really bad jokes with that. I'm gonna remember that one. A werewolf? Oh no, not my baby! It can't be! What are we to do? Oh, we have to kill her then, probably. No, not her. She's old enough left in this world since her mother's death. Please, you're a traveller, perhaps you have heard of a cure. Not really. Never even heard of a werewolf, honestly. I didn't know they existed. Please, sir, in your travels, if you happen to find a cure, think of us. I've heard that there's an astounding cures in the great might city of Tula. Perhaps if you look there, but please don't hurt her. I'll make sure she's locked up at night. I swear I will. She won't hurt anyone anymore. Okay, I'll go find a cure. I don't really care all that much. Thank you, Ogre. Thank you. I will leave you now. I must speak with Cynthia. This will be most distressing for her. Pray to return to her shortly. Yeah, she already knows about it, because Ogre brought it like real subtly. Wendigo. Anyways, I think with that we'll leave this episode. Yes, so next time we'll probably be traveling to Zephyr and see what we discovered there. So that'll be a fun, big plot twist and everything. And see if that's as horrible a place as that book describes. I have my doubts. Till the next episode. Bye bye.